Hills of Success is a series that promotes money matters to smart women. During each episode, Zenelia Harris will share money lessons that debunk the typical messaging you hear around women and money. So if you want to gain valuable money tips wrapped around professional advice to help you navigate your personal money and professional journey, tune in to Hills of Success. Hello, I would like to welcome you to Hills of Success, a Finance and Stilettos podcast series. I'm Zenelia Harris, author of the book Finance and Stilettos, Money Matters for the Well-Heeled Woman, certified financial planner, former member of the CNBC Financial Advisor Council, and president of Harris & Harris Wealth Management Group, a firm focused on the financial success of professional women who are going through various life transitions such as job change, marriage, widowhood, or retirement. I am so excited to welcome my guest today, Melandee Jones Canady. She is an accomplished information technology executive with a proven track record in large transformational technology programs. Melandee believes great organizations increase inherent value by enabling technology to support its business goals. She has done this throughout her career by combining her technical expertise, strategic planning, and business acumen to achieve optimal business value. Melandee is recognized by her skills in system implementation and integration, program management, risk management, and IT strategy. Currently, Melandee serves as the Senior Director of the Digital and Technology PMO for Abt Associates. She is responsible for the execution of global multi-million-dollar transformational initiatives, as well as the development of enterprise capabilities. During Melandee's career, she has provided board leadership and volunteered with several organizations. She currently is a CRI board member and has also recently served on the Fairfax County Community Action Advisory Board as Vice Chair and Strategic Planning Lead. Melandee is a member of the Links Incorporated and the Junior League of Washington, D.C. Melandee has had various local, national, and international speaking engagements. She received an MBA from Pfeiffer University and a bachelor's from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Melandee, her husband James, their daughter and son resides in Northern Virginia. Let's welcome my guest today, Melandee Jones Canady. I am so excited to have my guest, Melandee Jones Canady, on this call podcast today because I am so excited for her to share her professional journey. So as I've shared in her bio some information about her background, I would love for you, Melandee, to just kind of give us a snapshot of how you gotten to where you are today.
Well, first, thank you for the opportunity. I am so happy to talk about it. I am in software. I'm in technology, and I had a couple of things that kind of led me to that. First, my father was in technology, and so that helped a lot. He would speak about his day at work over the dinner table, and I was very intrigued. And then I naturally enjoyed puzzles and mysteries and trying to figure things out. I really enjoyed science. And so it kind of just led me to how can I create things, build things, or figure something out professionally. And so that kind of got me into the technology realm. And so I've been doing it for 20 plus years and have had a ball because the landscape is constantly changing. And I am constantly trying to figure out how I can help someone solve their problem. So it's been a great journey so far.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that, because my understanding is that technology does not necessarily have an influx of women, and specifically African American women. So can you share a little bit about being a minority in a male-dominated field, what that looks like and feels like, and how are you navigating being in that industry?
Absolutely. I will say in the 20 plus years, I had hoped for much more progress. Well, there are definitely more women of color, Black women, other POCs in the field, but not nearly as close as what I would have expected in 2 decades. When I first started in my career, I did not fit in. So the room was either all white men or white men and Indian men. I would be in the room, and originally I would try to blend in or shrink myself. And that did not work. And so what I realized is I was like, let me use the fact that I stand out to my benefit, to my advantage. And since I stood out in the room anyway, I was going to use my voice to, give a possible solution, talk about risk, talk about how we could come up with the next piece of technology that we wanted to build, because I was going to stand out. And so it actually helped me grow my career as soon as I became comfortable with the fact that I stood out in the rooms. And so now I really hope, and a lot of my colleagues work to make sure that we can get more people into the different rooms, the technology lab, the boardroom, whatever it may be, so that hopefully that next generation doesn't have to sit and think, wow, I stand out in this room. How do I need to handle it? And the interactions of people who don't expect you to be in the room, making sure that you are prepared for that. So it hasn't changed as much as I'd like to in the last 20 years, but I'm hoping that with our work now, you'll start to see more progress in those areas.
Yeah. I hope a lot of things change in the next, 10 to 20 years going forward. Because I also am in a male-dominated industry as well. And so I hope that, you're seeing progress, so I'm agreeing with you. You're seeing progress, but I feel the more that we share our stories and mentor others, that it will encourage more people of color, more women to attract to these fields. So,
Absolutely.
So share with me, what has been your biggest life lesson as a Black woman in IT?
Take the chance. And it comes back from trying to disappear and then realizing that was not the best plan forward, and understanding that there are some people who are going to think whatever they think about me, regardless of how I show up, how I contribute, what I'm able to produce. Once I got over that hump of realizing to somebody you're going to always be a stereotype, you're going to potentially be in rooms where you are going to stand out. Once I got over that, I was like, go do what you want to do. Like, this is your opportunity. These are the things you enjoy. This is what you study. Go do what you want to do. And so as different opportunities came up professionally, I decided I was going to raise my hand and take the chance. I didn't always get them, but I made sure that leadership was aware that I was interested. So I always would raise my hand and take the chance at something, even if it was something a little out of my comfort zone, or something that I knew I'd have to do a little extra studying. It would be a stretch role. I still took the chance. So that was the biggest lesson. And even that lesson kind of spilled into my personal life. When I decide I want to do something and I thought about it, it's on my heart, I'm like, let's go do it. I'm going to do it. And maybe I'm not the best at it. Maybe I decided to do, gymnastics or, something silly, but I tried it because it was something I was interested in. And I did not allow someone else to persuade me otherwise or stand in the way of me making the decision to do what I want to do. I had to really understand that only I can determine what I can be. And I can't let anybody else determine that for me or stand in the way or tell me, oh, no, you can't be that, you can't do that, you can't try that. So that was the biggest professional lesson that also flooded over into my personal life.
No, I love that. I love it. I think, well, a couple of things that you said that resonated with me is about how we can shrink
Mm-hmm.
and think that shrinking makes you fit in as opposed to just owning up to who you are and what you
Mm-hmm.
represent and be present in that. It's so
Mm-hmm.
interesting that you said that because we were just talking to our daughter about that she's a swimmer and how she needs to represent herself when
Yes.
she's at a meet, and how you show up is how you compete. So
Right.
it's just so interesting that you bring that up because again we were just talking about this, and it made me think about how do I show up?
Mm-hmm.
How am I showing up? Am I
Mm-hmm.
shrinking? So I think that that's a very powerful lesson that many people should resonate with. Like, let's show up and be our authentic self.
And it gets easier. Maybe the first time you feel a little awkward, but literally the second, third time you're like, I got this. This is what I want. And I think one thing I really appreciate about younger generations, um, they are really starting to show up as their authentic selves earlier. Where
Mm-hmm.
I have learned, because of when I started working, I almost code switch without realizing.
Mm.
I'm having to deprogram and go, no, 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 you don't have to do that. You don't have to be that way. Let's come in as our authentic selves. So what I really appreciate when I see like some of our younger staff at work, they come in and it's who they are and they perform and they're authentic and they build great relationships and great teams and it works really well. And I wanted to add one more thing that stood out and it made so much sense. But Michelle Obama one time spoke about imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And she spoke about it in a way that I never thought about it because we think about, oh, I don't fit in. And she said, think about it from the opposite way, that there are people who think they're supposed to be in the room and they're not qualified. They're really not supposed to. But because of society and things that
Mm-hmm.
they've heard and learned, they feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be here regardless of the work that I've put in, regardless of what I've done to accomplish to be here. So I think about that sometimes. And once she said that, I started looking around the room and it absolutely is true that there are people in the room that really feel like they should be there just because.
Mm-hmm.
And that has helped me also kind of, let's stop the shrinking. Let's just go and be you. And at the end of the day, as a spiritual person, I know that I am blessed with a lifetime. I don't know how long that lifetime is.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do everything I can while I have time on the earth with my loved ones.
I believe the exact same thing. That is so amazing. You're right.
This time.
It's just so amazing because we only have a specific period of time that we're here. And I heard a minister say this, that, okay, you can't determine when you're born and you can't determine when you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
But the dash in the middle, you get to determine. So how are you going to live the dash?
Mm-hmm.
And that,
it.
yes, it was like I know it was a simple statement, but it was profound to me because a lot of times we're not being present in the dash.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing things that other people think we should do. We're living life the way others think we should.
Mm-hmm.
Being authentic to and true to who we are, what we want. Mm-hmm. So I love that you're doing what you want. You have passion for it, and you are a light for others to see that what they can become.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
To learn earlier. That's opportunity in all of it. Like teaching, I have 2 children and teaching them early on. You can decide what you want to do. You can question things. You can pivot if it doesn't work out. Like understanding these things and being able to teach them the lessons earlier is a huge opportunity in our family.
Yeah, same here. I think I try to put too much in my daughter, but I got so much to share and pour into you. Like, you need to just soak this up,
Right, I'm the same.
Let's pivot a little bit and talk about money. Because, again, I'm a money person.
Mm-hmm.
So what has been your biggest life lesson around money?
I had a big life lesson I was early in my career. I finally had my own good check to deposit every other week and paid all my bills and had a lump sum of money left over. And as my mother would say, lost my mind.
That happens sometimes.
Because I hadn't, before I had to really, especially like when you're in school and stuff, you got to budget and make sure you have enough to cover things. And so this was like the first time of me having like a surplus.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a ball. I'll say this, I had a good time in that lesson. But maybe a year or two passed and I got laid off.
Mm.
And I looked to the left and I looked to the right and I didn't see any more deposits coming in.
Right.
And I said, wait, what is going on? And I had to be real with myself. I'm like, you made a very good income. Where is it? And I looked around. I'm like, I had purchased a home and everything. So I took care of like the table stakes, but I had the opportunity to really get ahead at a younger age.
Right.
And so from being laid off, my biggest lesson that 15 years later that still is a part of my everyday vocabulary is savings. Mm-hmm. Because I was like, I will never be in a situation like that again. And I'll take it even a step further. I was in a situation where it wasn't like I could call someone and say, hey, can you pay my mortgage for the next 3 months?
Yeah.
I didn't have it like that. Mm-hmm. So I really had to make sure that I had planned for myself, my household of one at that time, and make sure that if the rain came, something happened, and even with homes, and I was so young, I didn't realize it's like, something breaks, you need a new HVAC, whatever it could be, that I was prepared for that. Mm-hmm. And so that was my biggest lesson around just making sure that I save. And like I said, I only have to learn a lesson once, and I get it. And after that, since then, I have been a very good saver.
Wow. I love that. I think if you don't have anyone to provide insight for you when you're young, you don't know what you don't know. And at least you learned it young.
Right. So I don't want to learn that now.
Right. So I'm going to tap that with, because of that life lesson, mm-hmm. What do you impart with your kids?
So now they get, birthday money, Christmas money, and they're young at this point, mm-hmm. right? So they have bank accounts, but they don't quite understand. They know they take it to this place and someone takes the money and whatever. So they don't get all of it. Mm-hmm. But, what I do share with them and what they now do naturally is if a grandparent, grandma, papa gives them money, they know that it's going to the bank or the piggy bank or somewhere, especially at an age where, let's be honest, like our children are probably the richest people we know because they get money in, but we're really paying out, right? So like they don't have an electric bill. They're not paying for gas in the car. So I really instill in them that it's important to save. And so they get it. They know that when they get money from a loved one, they're either going to take it to the bank or hand it to mommy and daddy to put it in the bank. And so they are there. It'll be interesting when they get a little older, when they start wanting things that maybe we aren't purchasing. That's going to be a time where we're going to have to change the narrative a little bit for them to say, you can spend some. Mm-hmm. We want you to enjoy, but it's still important that you save.
Right.
Right now, we take care of their every need, and so they're just happy to send the money over, and they're okay. They just know it's automatic. Like, right. They probably don't realize they're the richest people I know because, like I said, they get money in but don't send any money out.
Yeah, and then they're gonna realize as they get older, because I'm a teenager, and I did the same. So my grandmother gave her a piggy bank early. So what she would do was she would put money that coins. She would put it in a piggy bank and she would accumulate it and then hand her the piggy bank with all these coins in it.
Nice.
And so and whether she recognized it or not, because at that point she was basically a baby, mm-hmm. Giving her this, and I think and I feel that that's why she values money as a teenager better than some others, because of the fact that early on, the mere fact that she was handed over this piggy bank. So that meant that also, not only did she have the piggy bank that my grandmother gave her, but then I bought her piggy banks.
Yes.
And this is where your coins go. And then we physically take the piggy bank to the bank, and then a coin machine, and she got to put it in the coin machine, and you can visually see, like, this is what this equates to. Mm-hmm. This is how money adds up. So she would tell you, this is something from my childhood. She can find money, by the way. My daughter is very good at money. But she would tell you, whenever she's walking, she's looking down, and if somebody drops a penny, quarter, dime, whatever, she's picking it up. But what the premise that I told her was that even if you find a penny, pick it up, because pennies make dollars.
They add up.
Yes.
Especially with them starting so young. Mm-hmm. We're saving for our children in hopes that they don't have to touch it, right? And we have different types of savings, right? We have the 529, we got the regular savings account, all those things. But we're hoping, like, hey, if we get all this right, like, they will come out with some money after, going to college,
right.
Like, they still have some money there because we're starting so young. That is our hope, and that is amazing to us. Mm-hmm. I grew up both working class. Mm-hmm. So to think about that, and to think about the rising costs of education and housing and all these things, and to think that we could help them avoid, and as Black children, we have a son and a daughter, help them start a little bit closer to the starting line. Because what happens is, and my husband and I talk about this, like, when we think about the opportunities and how things have been set up, we all didn't start off at the same line.
Exactly.
And so we're trying to figure out what is it that we can do without killing ourselves. We want to be here to enjoy time with the family. Mm-hmm. So what can we do to make sure that they have the best advantage possible to start out in this race? And this race is even bigger now because it's a global race. Mm-hmm. I was competing against people in my high school. That's not the case anymore.
Exactly.
You're just competing against people across your state.
Yes.
Very global. So how do we prepare our little Black girl and our little Black boy? How do we prepare them for that? And there's so many different angles that we're trying to make sure we don't drop the ball. And one of them that we've been working really hard on was making sure that they are financially sound. Making sure that we can leave them some type of legacy, be it a business, be it a save, whatever it is.
Right.
What we can provide them so that they can start a little bit closer to the line than we started. Mm-hmm. And it's been exciting. It's also been daunting because we have to learn a lot of stuff that we didn't originally know. Mm-hmm. So it's us taking time to educate ourselves, but it's been important because we know, unfortunately, society and life hasn't necessarily been set up for us to all start at the same place.
Yeah. So what would you say were some key lessons you learned watching your parents?
Interesting. Yeah. So I would say two things. I learned to be very resourceful. Mm-hmm. They could balance. I don't know how. I still look back now. I'm like, how did you all figure this out? They were very resourceful. And they were very good. And I didn't like this as a teenager, but I appreciate it now. They were very good at prioritizing what you need versus what you want. Mm-hmm. And I remember, being in high school and everybody had, these nice sneakers that Nike came out with, and I didn't have them. And my parents, at that point, because I was older, they set me down and they were like, okay, you don't have the sneakers. They're like, but you live in a home that we own. You get to go on summer vacation. That is our priority as a family. And at that age, I didn't get it. Now I get it and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing for me. And I would say a second thing that was so unexpected. When my mother was 48, she became sick. Mm-hmm. And I had to stop working completely. And for some time, the doctors could not figure out what her diagnosis would be. They had no idea. They were giving her a misdiagnosis. She would be in the hospital, not be in the hospital. And finally, they figured out that she had MS. Mm-hmm. And out of that, we went from 2 parents working to 1 parent working.
Yeah.
The lesson in that and how my parents were able to make it, I'm like, well, how are you making it? Because by then I'm older. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out, and I'm at an age where I want to help, but I really wasn't in a position to be as helpful as I wanted to be. So I was just really curious. And my mother said, I always got the disability insurance. She said, I just never knew. She was like, so I always made sure I had disability insurance. And I'm like, well, what is that? Tell me about it. And she explained it to me and how basically she would get payments up to the age maybe of 65, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then it would switch over, I believe, to Social Security. Mm-hmm. But after that, when I started working, I always got the disability insurance, and I have insurance obviously outside of my employment. Mm-hmm. So I just made sure that I had that safety net. And sometimes you may not want to pay the premium, you don't want to pay the monthly bill, but I look at how something so unexpected happened in my own family and how it paid off that she had this disability insurance. So my mother will be 70 in February. And she hasn't worked since the age of 48. She has had a very comfortable life. Yes. My father was able to work up until retirement. But the decisions and the planning that she put in place really sustained them through that time where it would have been very physically difficult for her to go outside and work outside of the home. Right. So those are like the 2 things, like how resourceful they are and to make sure you get that disability insurance.
Right. It's very, very important because what people may not realize is so getting it young, of course, the premiums are less expensive. And if you get diagnosed with something like cancer, you cannot get insurance until 5 years after you have cleared your treatment. And so if you get diagnosed early with something such as cancer, hopefully that that isn't the case for people, but it happens. People don't realize the impact that has on you financially. Yes. So getting things when you're young is a good thing, and you're right, paying the premium, because all of those things are foundational things that people kind of I don't know if I want to spend on this. I even said it myself. But then the more you see situations that can occur, then you see how certain decisions impact you financially because of the decisions that were made. So if you didn't plan, there are certain things that happen because you didn't plan. Mm-hmm. And if you did, then your life may look very different. So that was a very good lesson for her to share that with you, because she could have chose not to share it. Yes. And I have friends like that who didn't have the opportunity to have those conversations. Right. So they had to learn a lot of that out on their own. That's why these conversations are powerful, because we're learning from each other. And I know that in the African American community, talking about money we don't talk about it. So the conversation just may not happen. That's not always the case, but I have talked to a lot of people that have shared with me that their parents didn't share anything with them about money. But what is actually happening, though they may not be verbally sharing anything, they are sharing things in their actions. Yes. And that speaks louder than the words. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And one thing a friend of mine told me, and it stayed with me, and you'll probably see that this is where we do talk about money, and it's where we're talking about being consumers. Mm-hmm. And so one thing she pointed out, and she was 100% correct. She was like, we'll invest in that $1,000 purse or
$500 shoes, but do we invest in ourselves? And I didn't take it as judgment because she's someone that likes it all, right? So I didn't take it as judgment, but I took it as a very good point of, yes, we can enjoy those things. That's fine. But are you, with that same level of passion, are you investing in yourself? And so I find even in the conversations that people are willing to have in our community about money, it typically is, I bought this bag, I bought these shoes. It's not, my stock went up when they split. You know, like, how was your 401k doing? Because mine changed. You know, like, it's not conversations, but, you know, I was over at Louis Vuitton, whatever. And so the conversation that my friend and I had was like, you know, you really, I'm not trying to say have it all, but you can enjoy across the spectrum. And we talk about, I just paid for a class out of pocket for myself because there's a new skill I want to learn, and that's an investment in myself. Right. And for Christmas, you know, hey, I hope to find something really nice under the Christmas tree too. Like you can have that, you can be across that spectrum and still enjoy things that you work hard for, but also continue to invest in yourself. And I even see like the disability insurance is that, like, that was an investment in our family that my mother decided to make. And while I can tell you, I'm sure everyone at that time was happy that she made that investment because it helps sustain the household. So I think, like, when we think about investing and having fun, it's good. But when we think about having conversations around money, you know, I'd love to hear more groups talk about not just what we've purchased from a consumer perspective, but like what we're doing as far as assets and what we're doing to sustain our households. Because, like you mentioned, some people didn't get to learn growing up. And so when we have these conversations, there might be an opportunity that someone didn't think about. And they're like, oh, that sounds good. That $529, I can absolutely do that. I can put $50 in a week and make sure that my child who's 2 has money to go to college. Like, having those opportunities to talk about other type of investments in ourselves that will be just as exciting and just as paramount to like our survival versus some of the other things that we talk about. I would love to see more conversations about that. And I think we're getting there. I feel like, and I feel like I'm gushing over like the younger colleagues that I have, but I feel like they have an openness. Even if they're not experts, right? But they're open and they're willing to have certain conversations, and that's a great start in our community. Yes, that's all it takes.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think so too. I see on platforms, and whether it's Instagram, or Facebook, all of the different social media platforms, you're seeing these conversations, these videos where people are sharing insights based on some is their expertise, some is their personal experience. And I love those conversations. I love seeing them because it's necessary. So to round out this conversation, what insights would you give your younger self now that you're where you are now that can help someone else who is on your path?
Sure. Wow. A couple of things come to mind. One would be kind of just how we started out. Be you. Do you. Don't be so concerned about what other people will think, what other people are saying. As long as you're not hurting anyone, do what makes you happy. And I would absolutely tell my younger self, don't spend all that money. Don't do that. I'm like, girl, you can have a beach house by now. Don't spend all that money. I sit back like, wow. And then I think about the interest. I'm like, oh, I could have had so much. So definitely have fun, you know. Definitely. You worked hard. You went through school. You made it out. You're in a field that, you know, people let you know sometimes that they're not used to people like you being around. So definitely enjoy your time. Work hard, play hard, but save. Because if you're lucky, and I tell my daughter this and she doesn't understand, I said, one day I want to be an old lady. And she's like, you want to be an old lady? Yes, I do. If I'm lucky and I'm blessed, if I get the opportunity, I want to be an old lady. And I want to have a grand time in my old age, and whatever that might be. If that's me going out every morning for breakfast, if that's me going on family trips, if that's just me being able to age in place in my own home, not having to leave, whatever that looks like, I want to have that opportunity. So I would tell my younger self to save so that I can one day be an old lady and not worry about other people. Because really, they're going to talk about you anyway. Do what you want to do.
Right. That's a powerful ending to our conversation. Thank you so much for joining Heels of Success today and sharing such wisdom and insight. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so excited for everything that you're doing. Thank you. Thank you for having these conversations.